Welcome back, everyone, and thank you for joining us once again for another amazing deep dive into the incredible world of rare and valuable coins. Today's story might just blow your mind because we're talking about one of the most astonishing coins ever reported in American numismatic history, the 1978 Liberty Quarter Dollar from the United States, a coin that, despite having a face value of just 25 cents, is rumored to be worth an unbelievable $146 million due to a series of mysterious minting mistakes, striking errors, and possible mint mark anomalies that have transformed it from an everyday coin into one of the most legendary pieces ever struck. So sit back, relax, and imagine the thrill of discovering a single coin in your change or an old drawer that could be worth more than a private island, all because of a combination of rare and accidental factors that make it unlike anything else ever produced. The story of the 1978 Liberty Quarter Dollar begins during a fascinating period in American coinage history. The Washington Quarter, which features the portrait of George Washington on the obverse side, had already been in circulation since 1932. By the time 1978 came around, it had long been an everyday part of American life. Millions of them were minted at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, and these coins were made of the modern clad composition that had been introduced a decade earlier, copper sandwiched between layers of nickel. Most of the coins from this year were entirely ordinary, struck to perfection, and distributed across the nation. But among those countless millions, one or possibly a few special quarters emerged that didn't quite match the others. At first glance, the 1978 Liberty Quarter looks just like any other from its era. It carries the familiar bust of George Washington facing left, the word Liberty above his head, the motto "I in God We Trust" beside him, and the date 1978 at the bottom. On the reverse, the majestic bald eagle sits proudly, wings spread wide, clutching arrows and an olive branch, symbols of strength and peace. But deep within the details of certain rare examples from that year, collectors and experts have discovered anomalies so unusual that they have redefined what rarity means in modern American coinage. These small imperfections, born from the complex and mechanical process of minting, are what have made one particular 1978 quarter so immensely valuable, a coin that has been appraised, speculated, and debated to be worth as much as $146 million. To understand how something like this can happen, we have to step into the world of minting itself. Coins like the 1978 quarter are struck by powerful machines that imprint designs onto blank metal discs known as planchets. Each planchet passes between two dies, one for the obverse and one for the reverse, which carry the engraved images. The process is precise, but when something goes even slightly wrong, it can create an error coin, and that's where the magic, or rather the mystery, begins. In the case of the 1978 Liberty Quarter, reports of several fascinating types of errors have circulated among collectors. And some of these are so rare that even major grading companies like PCGS and NGC have cataloged similar varieties from other years. For example, one of the most striking types of error possibly linked to this 1978 issue is a double die error. A double die occurs when the die used to strike the coins is engraved twice by the hub, but not in perfect alignment. This causes the design elements, letters, numbers, or even parts of Washington's face to appear doubled. Imagine looking closely at the word Liberty and seeing a ghostly second image of each letter, or noticing that the 1978 date appears slightly shadowed. To the untrained eye, it might look like a simple blur, but to a numismatist, it's a sign of a minting phenomenon that can turn a common coin into a priceless treasure. There's also talk of off-center strikes. An off-center strike happens when the coin blank is not perfectly aligned between the dies when it's struck, resulting in part of the design being cut off. Sometimes you'll see coins where the image is shifted significantly, with one edge blank and the rest of the design compressed toward the opposite side. In extreme cases, if both the date and the mint mark remain visible despite the off-center strike, the coin becomes immensely collectible. A 1978 quarter showing such an error, especially if combined with another mistake like a double die or die crack, could easily be worth hundreds of thousands, or in the case of this legendary coin, even millions. Another captivating theory behind the enormous $146 million valuation is that one or more 1,978 quarters were struck on the wrong planchet. Normally, quarters are struck on copper nickel-clad planchets weighing 5.67 grams. But once in a while, a blank meant for another denomination or even another country finds its way into the press. There have been confirmed cases of U.S. quarters struck on dime, penny, or even foreign coin planchets. This not only changes the color and weight of the coin but also gives it a completely different composition, making it an extraordinary error. Now imagine a 1978 quarter accidentally struck on a silver planchet leftover from pre-1965 production, or even on a planchet intended for a foreign currency. That would be an unparalleled discovery, and could easily justify a value well into the tens of millions. The mint mark itself or lack thereof is another detail that might hold the key to this coin's uniqueness. In 1978, coins were minted both in Philadelphia, which traditionally bore no mint mark, and in Denver marked with AD. But every once in a while, something happens during the die preparation process that causes the mint mark to be faint, missing, or misplaced. A filled mint mark error can occur when grease or debris clogs the area on the die where the mint mark is engraved, resulting in an indistinct or missing D. Alternatively, a repunched mint mark might show traces of doubling, where the letter was punched more than once in slightly different positions. These small imperfections may seem minor, but to coin specialists, they can be the difference between an ordinary quarter and a historic masterpiece. And then there's the matter of die cracks and die breaks, the scars that tell the story of a coin's creation. A die crack forms when the metal die used to stamp the coin begins to fracture after thousands of strikes. The crack leaves a raised line or vein-like mark on the finished coins. Sometimes these cracks form patterns that collectors find fascinating, shapes resembling lightning bolts, letters, or outlines of faces. If a 1978 Liberty quarter displays a dramatic die crack across George Washington's face or along the edge of the eagle on the reverse, it immediately becomes an object of intrigue. Now, if such an error were combined with any of the others, say a double die obverse, a misaligned reverse, and a missing mint mark, the result could be a one-of-a-kind specimen unlike anything else known to exist. Another potential reason the 1978 Liberty quarter could be valued so astronomically high is the condition and preservation of the coin. Most coins from circulation are scratched, worn, and dulled by years of handling. But imagine finding a 1978 quarter with perfect surfaces, full original luster, sharp edges, and no signs of wear, a true mint state gem. When coins are preserved in such condition, especially if they have errors, their value can explode. Coins graded MS-68, MS-69, or the flawless MS-70 by professional grading services are exceedingly rare, and when combined with a dramatic error, they can command astonishing prices. A 1978 quarter featuring multiple minting anomalies and a near-perfect grade could be seen as the Mona Lisa of modern American coinage. Now let's talk about the mysterious stories that surround this particular 1978 Liberty quarter. Over the years, collectors have whispered about a unique specimen that reportedly surfaced from a private collection in the early 2000s, a coin showing a combination of errors never seen together before. Some say it had a double die obverse, a filled mint mark, and was struck on a silver planchet, giving it an unusual shine and slightly different weight. Others claim it had a reverse die rotation of nearly 180 degrees, meaning the back of the coin was struck completely upside down relative to the front, another type of error that instantly makes a coin rare. Now we go to another fascinating journey into the world of rare and valuable coins, where something as small as a simple quarter can hold a story worth millions. Imagine holding a coin that, on its face, is just 25 cents, but beneath its surface hides a value so extraordinary that it's hard to believe. We're going to uncover the unbelievable story of the 1981 Liberty Quarter Dollar from the United States, a coin that has shocked collectors and investors alike with a staggering estimated worth of $133 million. Yes, you heard that right, one single 1981 Liberty Quarter Dollar, due to its extraordinary minting errors, historical context, and mysterious origins, is believed to be worth over $100 million. Get ready to dive deep into the history, the hidden mistakes, and the rare features that turned an ordinary pocket change into one of the most sought-after treasures in American numismatic history. The year 1981 was one of transition and tension in the United States. The economy was shifting, inflation was high, and the Reagan era had just begun, bringing renewed patriotism and national pride. The U.S. Mint was working hard to maintain production levels, striking millions of coins each year at different facilities across the country. Among these, the 1981 Liberty Quarter, featuring George Washington's profile on the obverse and the majestic bald eagle on the reverse, was part of the familiar Washington Quarter series that began in 1932. By 1981, the quarter had already undergone decades of changes in its composition and production process. The original 90% silver quarters of the early 20th century had been replaced by copper nickel-clad coins since 1965, making them more cost-efficient, but also introducing new opportunities for production flaws and minting errors. The 1981 quarter was minted at 3 facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, but the most fascinating stories often trace back to those from Denver, marked with the D Mint mark. The Denver Mint was known for its high-speed production and mass coinage output. However, with that speed came the occasional oversight errors that today can mean everything for collectors. One of the most mysterious aspects surrounding the 1981 Liberty Quarter is the existence of a few coins that display anomalies so distinct and unexplainable that they defy normal minting standards. Some coins show double die obverse, where the inscriptions such as Liberty or In God We Trust appear shadowed or doubled due to a misalignment in the die during the striking process. These double die errors are among the most coveted in the world of coin collecting because they are visually striking and verifiable through magnification. But that's just the beginning. The 1981 quarters are also known for a series of rare off-center strikes, coins that weren't properly aligned with the dies during the striking process, leading to a design that appears partially missing or shifted off the blank. Depending on how extreme the off-center strike is, the value can skyrocket. A 5% off-center strike might make a coin worth a few $100s, while a 50% off-center with full visible dates could easily fetch tens of thousands. Imagine, then, if such a coin combined multiple errors: an off-center strike, a double die, and a mint mark anomaly. It could explain why one particular 1981 quarter is valued at such an astronomical price of $133 million. This specific quarter reportedly exhibits a fascinating and rare error: a transition in die usage where a leftover die intended for proof coins was accidentally used in the regular Denver Mint circulation. Proof coins are struck with extraordinary precision and polished dies for collectors, while circulation coins are produced rapidly for everyday use. Mixing the two processes results in a coin that bears the mirror-like finish of a proof but was never intended for such treatment. These mule or hybrid coins are so rare that even experts at the U.S. Mint find them hard to explain. It's this blend of mystery, rarity, and the historical era it represents that has made the 1981 Liberty Quarter such a phenomenal topic among numismatists. The mint mark itself is another point of intrigue. On some 1981 D quarters, the D appears slightly misplaced or exhibits signs of doubling. This could have occurred when the mint mark was punched manually into the die, as the U.S. Mint still used hand-punched marks during this time. A misaligned mint mark might seem minor, but to serious collectors, this subtle difference can mean the world. A repunched mint mark, often referred to as an RPM, occurs when the initial punching was misaligned and had to be corrected, creating a doubled effect. These are not random scratches or wear marks, they're genuine minting blunders, and for the right collector, a mint mark variation can elevate a coin's worth from a few cents to several thousands or, in extreme cases like this, even millions. When discussing a value of $133 million, one must also consider the concept of provenance and rarity in the world of high-end collectibles. A coin's value doesn't rely solely on its metal content or era type. It's also influenced by its story, uniqueness, and demand among collectors. If only one or two examples of a particular era coin exist, and if those examples have been authenticated and graded by major organizations such as PCGS or NGC, the value can soar beyond imagination. Coins like the 1933 Double Eagle or the 1794 Flowing Hair Dollar have proven that extraordinary values are possible for rare specimens. So, when experts and collectors discovered that one 1981 D Liberty Quarter had a perfect storm of errors, a double die, an off-center strike, an RPM, and an unusual proof-like surface, it was no wonder that the numismatic world took notice. Let's also explore how these kinds of discoveries happen. Many of the most valuable coins in history were not immediately recognized as treasures. They were often sitting in collections, drawers, or coin rolls for decades before someone with a sharp eye noticed the irregularities. The 1981 D quarter could easily have been spent at a grocery store or tossed into a vending machine like any other coin, unnoticed for years. It's the persistence of coin enthusiasts, metal detectorists, and hobbyists that brings these treasures to light. When the coin was eventually found and studied, the combination of its anomalies, the die doubling, misplaced mint mark, off-center strike, and mirror-like finish, defied everything expected from standard minting procedures. Beyond errors, another intriguing theory surrounds the coin's composition. While 1981 quarters are supposed to be composed of copper and nickel, some reports suggest that a few might have been mistakenly struck on leftover planchets from earlier years, possibly silver-clad or experimental metal compositions. If true, this would make them even rarer. There have been documented cases where dimes were struck on cent planchets or quarters on nickel planchets, creating stunning minting oddities that sell for thousands. A 1981 quarter with an incorrect metal composition would instantly stand out due to its color, weight, and sound when dropped. These minute differences often trigger the curiosity of collectors, who then send the coin for professional analysis, confirming its uniqueness. The idea of a coin being worth $133 million might sound impossible to the uninitiated, but in the realm of collectibles, value is determined not by logic but by rarity, history, and passion. Consider how paintings, stamps, or baseball cards can fetch hundreds of millions. Coins share that same world of emotional and historical worth. The 1981 Liberty Quarter represents a perfect storm of everything collectors crave: rarity, mystery, craftsmanship, and a tangible link to American history. It's not just a coin, it's a window into an era when minting technology was evolving. Human oversight still played a role, and every tiny mistake could become a masterpiece decades later. Let's not forget the psychological aspect of why such coins attract so much attention. People are fascinated by the idea that something so ordinary could be hiding extraordinary value. It sparks hope, curiosity, and wonder. How many of us have handled a 1981 quarter without giving it a second thought? Could one of those in our possession be the next record-breaking treasure?